Yeah, as we have looked into the various roles and responsibilities that normally employees have in an IT company, so it would be great if you also know about the software development life cycle. So fondly, we call it as a SDLC. So SDLC, if you know about this, you will have a more clarity about what we are going to do with your project, how we are going to work on your project, and the pros and cons, and which would work well. So it's better you would know this. So let's jump into this software development life cycle. So SDLC covers the entire process of creating software or an application when it is used for the specific purpose, from planning to manifestation. The stages in the cycle include a lot of steps that focus on maintaining and preparing the source code. These include conceiving, designing, specifying, programming, etc. So basically, the SDLC helps programmers concentrate on maintaining frameworks, applications, and various software components. Unless one knows and understands the stages in detail, the game is not easy to play. So don't worry, I'm here to make it simple and easy, and much easier, easier and easier and easier. Don't worry. So now the question is, what is the software development life cycle, SDLC? Of course, the picture is in front of you. You could get it probably. So to elaborate, the software development life cycle, or the SDLC, is the procedure of producing software at a low cost, less time, and at of the highest quality. The most important resources are the time and money, and the output is our quality. So that's where the SDLC helps us in bringing up all together and getting a better, efficient, and qualitative product. So under this under this well structured progress of phases is visible that each organization focuses on very seriously. This allows them to create high quality software after testing the software rigorously and then making it ready for manufacturing. So now there are essentially six phases to this methodology that you can clearly see on the screen, and they are as follows. The first one, the most important one, is requirement gathering. Here it is, requirement gathering. Then we will move on to the planning, how to go with the requirements and how can we do that, how can we proceed. That's what the second stage. And the third stage is the designing a software. Here it is, designing the software, like architectural design. And the fourth phase is developing the software. Here it is. And the fifth phase is conducting tests and make sure about the quality. That's testing and quality assurance. And the final phase is deployment and deployment of the software and maintaining that software in the lifespan of the software. So that's what. So it's like asking customer what do you want, asking the client what do you want, and planning uh, planning planning to fulfill the requirements of the customer client, and then uh, start executing that plan from designing, then going for the development, then going for the testing and assurance, and finally deploy and maintenance. This is the overall software development life cycle. So now we'll delve into it a little bit more. The first phase before the first phase that we see is project initiation. So let's understand the software development life cycle stages one by one. Let's delve into each stage so that we can get more clarity on it, what it is. There are some development life cycle stages that dictate the entire process. They are as follows. In the concern of the software development life cycle template, let's understand the main stages one by one in detail. The first one you can clearly see on the screen, that is our project initiation. So what happens in project initiation? Let's discuss, don't worry. So after you have decided on which project to go forward with and signed the agreement, that's the most important, with the signed agreement, the next phase is initiating it. This is when the entire software development life cycle starts, and you have to figure out the project goal in this phase. That's what we do. Thereafter the team has to state the success criteria associated with the project and its goals. In case you are under a terms and condition agreement, the contract with the company, this phase is still important to go through. The next point of concern in this phase is phase of an SDLC example is to make a project charter. That's the very important. That's an artifact of this project initiation phase. Project charter. We make a documentation, proper documentation. So in that you have to prepare what is the project charter. Project charter. In this you have to prepare and define which factors would work with this project in question. After that you have to figure out who the key stakeholders are for this process. So that's what would be added in this. So now, in addition to that, there are many things. Uh, there are many points of the process where you would see, but overall, the project initiation works in this way. You comes up with a business case, then you do a detailed detailed feasibility study. Once it is done, you will go for the project charter. Just now I have explained what is a project charter. I will repeat it again. The project charter here, you will prepare and define which factors and what all factors would work with the project in question. After that you have to figure out who all are the key stakeholders or taking care of those process. So once project charter is ready, now it's time to review the whole business case till now. Then we will go for the project office, and then finally uh, we will form a team and we'll meet with that team. So there are many points of this process where they would give their input, such as You have to get the details about the user experience and a hardware specification, what kind of hardware they require for that project, and user interface. These are the main points to be, or requirements to be get it from your client. And user interface, as I told you, then we have a technical limitations. We will discuss about the technical limitations with that project. Of course, we will consider the cost of the project also. And software architecture, what kind of software architecture we are going with, that's what decided by the IT architects that we have just discussed in our previous slides about IT architects, what they do, and the environment of the whole development. Okay. At this state or phase, you can get feedback on such points from the customers and clients. If that's not enough, if that's not enough, having expertise from within your team and outside would help you create the perfect software development project. So after making out the project motto and aim, so that's what the important thing here. From the project initiation, what we do is we have to make out the project motto and aim. So then we can jump into the developing the concept. So let's go into the developing. Let's jump into the concept development next. Okay. So indeed, developing software is not a one-way road. It's not that simple. There will be a lot of stumbling blocks around. So there are different manners of creating web applications. So one of the most important and useful ones in this regard is to develop and design the concept first. Now, for the application that you wish to create, you have to make a conceptual wireframe and design. Wireframe is very important. Of course, many of the people or many of the guys who haven't worked in IT team also might have heard about a word called wireframe. That's very important, the wireframe design and then UI design. So if the detailing is not set, that is still fine as long as you have a basic framework to refer to in later stages. So before we discuss what all we do in this concept development phase, let's look into how this phase works. Let's look into it. Let's delve into it a little bit more. So basically, in concept development, you just plan the effort. What do you want to do? You just plan it exactly. Then we will move on to the next stage. That is our scope of the project. You just get the scope of the project. Means what, how many amounts of features, what all features you want, what all functionality you are aiming for, and uh, overall how much what's the how many services are required, how many front end services, how many back end services are required, database what are required, and what kind of architectural configuration or is required for this. You get everything. You get everything. I'm basically talking about IT related scope, whereas there are other scopes also. And then we have, you have to pick your resources based on the requirements that you have, based on the scope, so which can fulfill completely. Based on that, you have to pick your resources. Then once you pick your resources, you have to select the right metrics to basically have a validation after that. And then we will move on to the gathering the feedback. That's what I told you. You have to select the right metrics so that you can gather the feedback and then you can re-verify your concept. So then you get the feedback, and finally you can do the course correction. This is how you develop a concept, an effective concept, an efficient concept that brings that makes that develops quality and qualitative product output product. That's what. So of course there is a great reason why you should focus on this stage more carefully, especially regarding the stakeholders. Having a concept design ready would give them a more substantial project to focus on, and they would engage more. Not all stakeholders would understand the more complicated development language. Thus, such simplified imagery would help them realize the end product better. That's what is a concept development. This is a pivotal, it plays a pivotal role. And aside from the design part of the concept development stage, the technicalities, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying, that the technicalities are also important in an SDLC example. So, this is because not all the projects can work with the already available solutions, and needs more specific requirements. In such a situation, your team has to create a whole new concept that would bring the correct outcome you desire. So, and if you need more time and resources to work the solution better, your software development projects, you could take it, but this is a very vital phase. So then, once your concept is ready, your scope is ready, everything is validated, course correction is done. Now, let's get into requirement phase. So here, what we do is we gather the requirement. So the next of the product development life cycle, the most important one is the stage is to figure out what you would need to complete it. That's what the most important thing. Without knowing what you have to do, if you start, you will be lost somewhere. So you can adopt the following methods. So here, what we do again,